Hello and welcome back. Welcome back and good evening. It's 8 p.m. and a lot of video is uploading. Let it just uploads. Oh, I start to get tired and was a little bit hot today. So I did eat some soup and I did record that on video. So and I made more video and all this video is uploading, and the video I did records is still uploading. But let's forget about this. I have to do with this in like in half an hour. Because like 8 or 9 videos is uploading same time. So, but I like to finish this so I can record the Intel. The Intel PDF. So let's do that, but I don't know, I don't think we have power enough. But let's just continue now, then I can get a break. Then I can charge the camcorder again later tonight. Then tomorrow when I have charged this camcorder again, I can start to do the Intel. Yes, I'm thirsty, just. I got my old Intel 8186 CPU, but I took it out and I did not know how to put it back, so that was really stupid. But I will record a video with that later. No, I took it out of the socket and I did not know how to put it back. It is inside there, and yes, this is the pins. Now you take this off, you take it off, but maybe we'll do it again, but it was a little bit hard to get in. Yes, you snap it open, but maybe already are damaged. But this is the old Intel 8186 from 1982. That's 40 years old. So, but I think I just closed. You can take it out and turn it around. But now I got it. But probably I have damaged it because I'm sitting and drop it and all kind of stupid stuff. Yes, now I forgot. We need to close it. But I'm afraid I've damaged this pins. Yes, but now I did close it again. So I have this chip properly, I have destroyed because it was inside the static bag. I had to cut it open. So I would like to buy more of this to my personally computer history museum. But now I got the 8186, but I need to buy more because there's a lot of CPUs before year 2000. There's a lot of the Pentium 1, the original Pentium. The first Pentium is Pentium CPU was for 1993, so actually that's 30 years ago. So that's many years ago, and we got the Pentium 2 and 3. Yes, but let's just continue. And I have closed the doors and windows. It's 8 p.m. I don't think we have power, but my back is hurting a little bit, so I need to lay back. I need to lay in my bed. Let's just read loud, continue.
U7600, 1.20 GHz, 2 megabytes L2, 533 MHz FSB, ultra low voltage. Core 2 Duo U7500, 1.06 GHz, 2 megabytes L2, 533 MHz FSB, ultra low voltage. Kentsfield 65nm process technology 2 dual-core CPU dies in one package. Desktop CPU quad-core, SMP support restricted to 4 CPUs. Introduced the 13th of December, 2006. Same features as Conroe but with 4 CPU cores. 586 million transistors. LGA 775. Family 6, Model 15, Stepping 11. Variants Core 2 Extreme QX 6850, 3 GHz, 24 MB L2 cache, 1333 MHz FSB. Core 2 Extreme QX 6800, 2.93 GHz. 24 MB L2 cache, 1066 MHz FSB, the 9th of April, 2007. Core 2 Extreme QX 6700, 2.66 GHz, 24 MB L2 cache, 1066 MHz FSB, the 14th of November, 2006. Core 2 Quad Q6700, 2.66 GHz, 24 MB L2 cache, 1066 MHz FSB, the 22nd of July, 2007. Core 2 Quad Q6600, 2.40 GHz, 24 MB L2 cache, 1066 MHz FSB, the 7th of January, 2007. Wolfdale 45nm process technology die shrink of Conroe. Same features as Conroe with the addition of 50% more cache, 6 megabytes as opposed to 4 megabytes. Intel trusted execution technology. SSE4 SIMD instructions. 410 million transistors. Variants Core 2 Duo E8600, 3.33 GHz, 6 megabytes L2, 1333 MHz FSB. Core 2 Duo E8500, 3.16 GHz, 6 megabytes L2, 1333 MHz FSB. Core 2 Duo E8435, 3.07 GHz, 6 megabytes L2, 1066 MHz FSB. Core 2 Duo E8400, 3.00 GHz, 6 megabytes L2, 1333 MHz FSB. Core 2 Duo E8335, 2.93 GHz, 6 megabytes L2, 1066 MHz FSB. Core 2 Duo E8300, 2.83 GHz, 6 megabytes L2, 1333 MHz FSB. Core 2 Duo E8235, 2.80 GHz, 6 megabytes L2, 1066 MHz FSB. Core 2 Duo E8200, 2.66 GHz, 6 megabytes L2, 1333 MHz FSB. Core 2 Duo E8135, 2.66 GHz, 6 MB L2, 1066 MHz FSB. Core 2 Duo E8190, 2.66 GHz, 6 MB L2, 1333 MHz FSB, no text, no VT. Wolfdale 3M, Intel Core 2, 45nm process technology, Intel Trusted Execution Technology. Variants Core 2 Duo E7600, 3.06 GHz, 3 MB L2, 1066 MHz FSB. Core 2 Duo E7500, 2.93 GHz, 3 MB L2, 1066 MHz FSB. Core 2 Duo E7400, 2.80 GHz, 3 MB L2, 1066 MHz FSB. Core 2 Duo E7300, 2.66 GHz, 3 MB L2, 1066 MHz FSB. Core 2 Duo E7200, 2.53 GHz, 3 MB L2, 1066 MHz FSB. Yorkfield, 45nm process technology quad-core CPU. Die shrink of Kentsfield. Contains 2 Wolfdale dual-core dies in one package. Same features as Wolfdale. 820 million transistors. Variants Core 2 Extreme QX9770, 3.20 GHz, 26 MB L2, 1600 MHz FSB. Core 2 Extreme QX9650, 3.00 GHz, 26 MB L2, 1333 MHz FSB. Core 2 Quad Q9705, 3.16 GHz, 23 MB L2, 1333 MHz FSB. Core 2 Quad Q9700, 3.16 GHz, 23 MB L2, 1333 MHz FSB. Core 2 Quad Q9650, 3 GHz, 26 MB L2, 1333 MHz FSB. Core 2 Quad Q9550, 2.83 GHz, 26 MB L2, 1333 MHz FSB, 95 WTDP. Core 2 Quad Q9550S, 2.83 GHz, 26 MB L2, 1333 MHz FSB, 65 WTDP. Core 2 Quad Q9450, 2.66 GHz, 26 MB L2, 1333 MHz FSB, 95 WTDP.
Yes, I'm still here, but I'm just tired. I made many hundreds of videos the last few weeks, but I like to do this. I like to do the reason to do. I like to read this. This is why I do it. I like to read it, and I will watch it on video. I have it on my playlist. I have just started to watch it, but I've been busy always to do this. I don't have time to watch it. I maybe watch a little bit more tonight.
Core 2 Quad Q9505, 2.83 GHz, 23 MB L2, 1333 MHz FSB, 95 WTDP. Core 2 Quad Q9505S, 2.83 GHz, 23 MBL2, 1333 MHz FSB, 65 WTDP. Core 2 Quad Q9500, 2.83 GHz, 23 MBL2, 1333 MHz FSB, 95 WTDP, no text. Core 2 Quad Q9400, 2.66 GHz, 23 MBL2, 1333 MHz FSB, 95 WTDP. Core 2 Quad Q9400S, 2.66 GHz, 23 MBL2, 1333 MHz FSB, 65 WTDP. Core 2 Quad Q9300, 2.50 GHz, 23 MBL2, 1333 MHz FSB, 95 WTDP. Core 2 Quad Q8400, 2.66 GHz, 22 MBL2, 1333 MHz FSB, 95 WTDP. Core 2 Quad Q8400S, 2.66 GHz, 22 MBL2, 1333 MHz FSB, 65 WTDP. Core 2 Quad Q8300, 2.50 GHz, 22 MBL2, 1333 MHz FSB, 95 WTDP. Core 2 Quad Q8300S, 2.50 GHz, 22 MBL2, 1333 MHz FSB, 65 WTDP. Core 2 Quad Q8200, 2.33 GHz, 22 MBL2, 1333 MHz FSB, 95 WTDP. Core 2 Quad Q8200S, 2.33 GHz, 22 MBL2, 1333 MHz FSB, 65 WTDP. Core 2 Quad Q7600, 2.70 GHz, 21 MBL2, 800 MHz FSB, no SSE4, no Q7600 listed here. Intel Core 2 Quad Mobile Processor Family 45nm Process Technology Quad Core CPU. Variants Core 2 Quad Q9100, 2.26 GHz, 26 MBL2, 1066 MHz FSB, 45 WTDP. Core 2 Quad Q9000, 2.00 GHz, 23 MBL2, 1066 MHz FSB, 45 WTDP. Pentium Dual Core. Allendale, Pentium Dual Core, 65nm Process Technology Desktop CPU, SMP support restricted to 2 CPUs. 2 cores on 1 die. Introduced the 21st of January, 2007. SSSE3 SIMD instructions. 167 million transistors. Text, enhanced security hardware extensions. Execute disable bit. EIST, enhanced Intel SpeedStep technology. Variants Intel Pentium E2220, 2.40 GHz, 1 MB L2, 800 MHz FSB. Intel Pentium E2200, 2.20 GHz, 1 MB L2, 800 MHz FSB. Intel Pentium E2180, 2.00 GHz, 1 MB L2, 800 MHz FSB. Intel Pentium E2160, 1.80 GHz, 1 MB L2, 800 MHz FSB.